All right, welcome to week one, Lost Caverns of Ixalan. With our Monday night feature matches. I'm here with Evan tonight. Raphael either forgot there were feature matches tonight or forgot that his wife was attending a holiday party and he had to go. And since she doesn't watch these, we'll just say he forgot the holiday party. So we got Paul S. here, young chunk. Unfortunately, on a mulligan, probably might be taking another one up against Adam. So what's in Adam's hand over there?
So in Adam's hand, he has a Guiding Voice, Iron Paw Aspirant, Rise of Extus, Strixhaven card that learns, and River Herald's Guide. Plus, he's got two of the three colors of his deck in terms of lands, plains, and swamp. Looking for that green source still.
Yeah, Paul had a couple of borderline keepable hands here. The first one had swamps and swamps and forests and like mostly blue cards, but there was a card he could cast. Second hand had one land with a compass gnome, and then now he's gone to five with the same one land and a compass gnome. On the draw, I think if you go to six, might have to keep a one land and a compass gnome, but it's not going to work out at least for the time being. Um, yeah, so you mentioned a couple of Strixhaven cards there, right? There was a Guiding Voice and the what was the other one?
Guiding Voice and Rise of Extus. We're actually going to see the Guiding Voice grab most likely one of his learn cards. I know he had an Environmental Sciences as well as another exile effect. I
Yeah.
believe an uncommon white exile effect. But here he can use Guiding Voice to grab Environmental Sciences in order to get his third color. And yes, I see it now. It's Reduced to Memory
Okay.
is the other learn card he
I
has.
believe he opened something very silly in his Strixhaven pack. I can't remember. One of the Mystical Archives, like one of the big bombs in there. So I can't remember which one, but I know he's been successful so far in his trip to Strixhaven. So Paul, unfortunately, we're not going to get to see too much this game. Well, he's got a land here, so maybe he can claw his way into this. So the rest of the cards in his hand, which he may be able to start deploying, he has Corpses of the Lost, which is that rare that lets you make a skeleton token and potentially buy it back to your hand. He has a Runaway Boulder, Malamet Veteran, the 5-drop. He has a Swamp Cycler, the Spike Tail, and he has Tendril of the Myco Tyrant, the 2/2 uncommon where you can wake up your lands much later in the game. Looks like he's on a blue splash here, mostly green black. So, but he's got his blue, he's got his colors. Hopefully, it's not too late and he can stay in this game. But that 3/4 is gonna be a pain here.
Yeah, definitely going to be a pain. And the hits do somewhat keep on coming. Okay, a third land is nice. And I looked up the pack that you were talking about, Richard, and he opened up a Baleful Mastery as well as the Mystical Archive Crux of Fate,
Yeah,
a favorite Cofflerism
all time, one of the
around
all
the
timers.
league.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We won't go too much into detail on that, but I'm sure he's playing both those cards. But just this Iron Prosper and being a 3/4 coming down is just taken over this game, paired with the missed land drop. I mean, Paul's working back from that, but he's working from behind too, unfortunately. Yeah, Paul has been he's been on our server for a long time. He doesn't play in every league, but glad to have him in the feature match for the first time, and he made top eight back in Strixhaven League. So it's been a while, and we're hoping to see him climb back in there.
Yep, going for no blocks here.
Okay, so
An update on the hands. Yeah, it's a
oh
wow. Mill's a
okay,
god.
yeah,
Two very potent grabs for another chance. And then the only thing he has left is he can hold up the land cycling as well as the spring loaded saw blades
yeah.
artifact that deals 5 to a tapped creature.
If he wants to guarantee the god next turn, he can go plane cycling. That'll guarantee them to be able to cast his god with the
Yeah,
double
guarantees
white
the
there.
god, guarantees Rise of Extus as well.
Yeah. Well, Rise of Extus, yeah, Rise of Extus could be cast on any land, but planes. So he's pretty incentivized to plane cycle here, even though that plane cycler is quite a good card when you cast it.
Hmm.
without other things to do. You might want to just close this game out before Paul, you know, gets back into it too far.
Yeah.
But he does have some reasonable looking blocks now. Most notably, a lot of these black cards that make like skeletons or other such tokens at like repeatably, often the tokens are unable to block. So, but in this case, the tokens can block. So,
Adam opting to cycle that. Mana is important in this game, and he can't really leave it up to chance. It feels like to be able to develop his 3/6/6s next turn. Instead, it's better to just guarantee that you can at least develop one of the two.
yeah. So he's gonna get his 6/6 here if he wants it, and I assume he wants it. I don't think exiling any of these creatures is very useful yet with the Rise of Extus. So let's see. Let's see if he decides to attack though. So the text on the god is that you get triple tokens, I believe, right?
Triple creature tokens, I believe. It does not apply to treasures,
Okay.
maps, etc. One of the weaker gods, I think.
I mean, if a 6/6 vigilance that flips into a land that can turn back into a 6/6 vigilance is one of the weaker ones, they powered up that cycle pretty nicely because that's still that's still a premium card. But yeah, that ability, like you have to pay 6 mana, you have to tap it, and then you have to do something else. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a lot of setup for a pretty nice payoff. But a 6/6 vigilance for 6 is just fine too.
Absolutely.
So weighing his options here, I'm not sure what his options are aside from the God and the Rise of Extus. With that doesn't really have any good targets or desirable
Yeah, I
targets.
think he's committing to no attacks this round, and I think he was just deciding: do I want to try to bluff something? Do I keep it back?
This looks like we'll at least have a bit of a game here. We got a 5/4, and the 6/6 can get in, trade for two things, and then I could not tell you what the condition is to flip it back. I believe you have to attack with a bunch of creatures or something.
Yes, at least three creatures,
Okay.
and then you can activate it to flip back.
Yeah. All right. So he's just going to Rise of Extus, the big thing, to open up a better attack here with the 6/6. If he wants the
Oh.
6/6 dead, he'll have to hit everything.
Hmm.
He'll have to basically trade for everything.
And so here he can grab his reduced to memory, but the alternative is potentially
That's
using a
looting
little bit
one.
of text, yeah, that some people might not have remembered because there were so many good learn lesson cards, but you can just loot away cards.
Yeah.
Um, or I guess it would probably be rummage away would be the
Yeah.
right way to say it,
Technical, but
because you have to pick a card in your hand that you already have,
yeah. I
and
mean,
then
reduced to memory would upgrade Paul's creatures here if you cast
yeah.
it. He'd get a better creature. So he's
Hmm.
attacking here, and Paul can't really take it, but he can't really afford to trade his whole board for it. He does have a
Yeah.
runaway boulder in hand, which deals, I believe, 6 damage. So that could be a
Hmm.
way to stop it for a turn, and maybe he just chump blocks or risks it and goes to 4. He's going to need a lot to claw back in this game, and taking 6 is going to be a big hindrance to any plans he has of making his way back.
Definitely, and it also puts a much bigger cap on how many times you can develop Corpses of the Lost.
Yeah, it does cost a life if you are looking to return it to your hand. Yeah,
Hmm.
so he opts for the chump block rather than trade his whole board or take 6 there. So
The other unfortunate thing,
looks like he's not gonna play the runaway boulder because he played the tap land. He had a promising vein in hand, and he's not casting Corpses of the Lost either. So,
interesting.
um, hmm, I think he's oopsing. Yeah, I think he realized that he needed an untapped land there. Yeah, so that was
A little bit of a shame.
a bit of an error there. So
But yeah,
yeah, we see the mulligan to 5 and then missing on mana for a turn come back to bite him there, and then the little error at the end compounded this. So Paul's playing a pretty straightforward green black deck. He has a very light blue splash. One of it is for confounding riddle, the counterspell / draw card. Uh, and two Ancestral Reminiscence, I guess, just as like to refill your hand later in the game. But he instantly took out the Confounding Riddle, so maybe he's looking for something a little more impactful than that.
I do appreciate that because I have to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the confounding riddle, so I'm not sure that on the splash I would be finding it worth it.
Yeah, well, he slotted it back in before he found anything he wanted to he wanted to replace it with.
Yeah.
How's Adam's deck looking over there, or what kind of decisions is he making?
Adam has made the decision to ship it. Took a
Yeah,
look at his Abzan deck, took a look at his options, and just
yeah,
said, you know what? I won the last game. Well, let's try do it again.
yeah. Did you see like any specific like is he splashing for something, or is it just more or less straight away three colors?
Sorry about that. I'll take a look if we go to game
Oh, that's
three.
fine.
I was looking more at the changes. I was trying to keep track of that.
Yeah,
It did look at a glance to be more straight three colors, but the overall composition, whether it's straight three colors or more limited, I think his fixing is quite good. And so
yeah,
there's a decent incentive to just, play a lot of colors. You've got the environmental sciences, right? You got a
yes, yeah.
couple learn cards.
So Paul was basically playing every playable green and blue black card he had, and even then, still he's playing three blue cards on top of that. So I mean, he hasn't taken a loss yet, so that's understandable. And he's looked at two one land hands here, unfortunately.
Oh
So
boy.
another rough go of it here. That's unfortunately that is how it goes sometimes. He's got a it's Coati Scavenger here as a 3 mana 3/2 that if he draws his third land, he'll probably just cast. And he has some nice rares in his deck. I saw when he was looking through his deck. One of them's in hand, the Queen's Bay Paladin. It is a little bit narrow though. It reanimates a vampire when it comes in.
Yeah.
He also has the Skullspore Nexus, that big 8-drop artifact that takes over the game. If it goes that long.
I do love that artifact dearly.
Yeah, I haven't really seen it in play. I think somebody was streaming a draft and opponent played it one game and it was pretty nasty, but other than that, haven't really seen the card in play. Um, Paul did draw a land this turn to at least be able to cast a spell. The rest of us had his Queen's Bay Paladin, which is 3 back black. He has the Snail, the 2-drop that exiles a card from opponent's hand, and he has that Ancestral Reminiscence. So any untapped land next turn can at least get him some card selection here, but instead he's drawn a 5-drop. And it's going to be, unfortunately, a bit of a rough go, like I was saying here. And Adam's got time to
Mhm.
develop. What's he
Develop,
building
but
there?
not develop a whole lot.
Okay.
He unfortunately only drew a tap land, and he's got three. He only has 3 mana available. Everything else is just creatures and spells. He's got the Rise of Extus once again, the Synapse Necromage, 3/1 that dies into 2/1/1s that can't block, River Herald's Guide, which is uncastable right now, the Soul Coil Viper, which he's mousing over right now because potentially he could reanimate his Soaring Skywing, I believe it's
Yeah,
called.
yeah,
The 6 mana
that's
three
not a bad
five.
one. Yeah, that's not a bad one.
Yeah. And you mentioned that there was a 1/1 that exiles a card from hand for 2 mana. Adam has the same thing, plus his Strixhaven rare, Baleful Mastery, uh,
So
which is
that's
just some very solid removal.
it's a 4 mana destroy spell that you can cast on the cheap if you absolutely have to and give opponent a card. Like if it's
Yeah.
absolutely necessary, it comes up maybe one out of every 50 times you cast the card.
Notably, however, it's actually exile target creature or
Okay,
planeswalker,
even
which
better.
does have some relevancy in this format.
Yeah, so Paul's drawn a swamp here, so he's got some. He can now start deploying his spells. He's got the fifth land for his 5/4 veteran. He's got a Scampering Surveyor, which is the 3/2 that goes and gets a land into play, and he's got the
hmm
Synapse Necromage as well. So he'll be able to at least keep up a bit here. Um, I mean, this 3/5 is going to be annoying. He does not have an answer to that, but he will be able to play a 5/4 next turn. Unfortunately, it will likely eat the removal spell that we mentioned, the Mastery.
Yep. Got a little trade going on, and Seems like Adam is putting on the pressure right now. Doesn't feel like the skullcap snail is there's probably going to be juicier targets maybe in a turn or two.
And Paul has drawn his mythic 8 mana artifact that we were mentioning before, but
Mm.
I mean, I don't know if the game's going
Well,
to go long enough to get that into play. So instead of playing the veteran, the 5/4, he just assumes whatever the first reasonable creature he plays is going to get removed, probably. So he just says, "Let me throw this out. I'll get a land into play," and maybe he uses a removal on it, maybe not. But
yeah, that makes sense. And he's ramping up. And the other thing is, 3/2 is a bit unassuming. Maybe Adam says, I don't want to kill that with my premium removal. And then, his Skull Spore Nexus is uh is cheaper if he keeps it around and
yeah.
then can potentially be developed.
But on the other hand, he might just be looking to minimize the damage dealt, so he's going to take the trade here. So basically, each of these creatures leaves something behind: a land for Paul and 2/1/1s for Adam. I'm
Hmm.
thinking Adam
It is
is
a 3-turn clock
pretty
if
happy
he
to
doesn't
take
make
that
that
trade.
block, right?
Here's that little bat. That card is every time I see it across from me when I'm playing a draft, I'm just really irritated by that little bat. It's just scrying. It's pecking in. It's just annoying enough that you end up oftentimes using a removal on it.
Yeah. There are a lot of those this format.
Oh yeah, we got 1/1 flyers for forever in this format. We got
Yeah.
one at common. We got two amazing ones at uncommon. Yeah,
Which is the one that grinds your gears the most, Richard?
I think it's this one. This one
It's this one?
just the scrying is so good late in the game.
Hmm.
I mean, the 1/1 that
Yeah.
makes a map is extremely good, but it doesn't like make me upset. Like it's not doing something repeatedly every single turn.
Yeah.
It's and the 1/1 that dies and explores, that one's perfectly fine. I mean, still pretty pushed, honestly, for common.
Hmm. Yeah. I think the one that makes me sad regularly is the Ruin Lurker bat.
Oh yeah, well yeah,
Oh
that's
no,
the
that is the Ruin Lurker bat.
yeah. This one is
What
the
is the name of the other one? You know what the one I'm talking about, like the Grim, the freebooter.
oh the greedy
Uh,
freebooter, the black one.
no, no, no. The one that's like the
Oh
kite sit.
oh the deep cavern bat, the two
Yeah,
drop.
deep
Yeah
cavern bat.
yeah. That one is always devastating because whenever my opponent plays it, I have exactly one removal in my hand, and they take it.
Yeah. I
Yeah
Wow.
yeah. Well, that one's 2 mana, but I was talking about the one drops, but that one it goes in the same boat, I think. So
Mhm.
the Paul he gave up on the Skullspore Nexus. He said basically I'm gonna have to trade off resources here, meaning I won't have an opportunity to cast it. Um, so he has two Skullcap Snails and a Synapse Necromage, and he's just gonna go for this 5/4, which is gonna get hit by a removal spell, and he's just gonna be uh, down to 7 or down to 8 after this.
Mhm. It looks like Adam is designed to be mana efficient, and Paul can have the card.
Yeah,
He
I
said,
feel
"I'm just
like
gonna go in."
he's ahead enough that he doesn't have to do that, but he also just gets to have all of his mana this turn. So
Mhm.
that is an upside here.
And I think part of it is that
Okay, so he
he
fanatical offered that, but it's not going to actually trigger his bat, is it? The tokens don't trigger it.
that is true.
So he
So in a
wants
sense, perhaps the skullcap snail would have been better.
yeah, he's maybe better off hitting the skullcap snail. That is one thing that is annoying about this mechanic is that it's really strange that the token will not trigger your descent. Um,
Hmm.
I just found that strange. I mean, it's worded in such a way that like I had people at the pre-release that were basically thinking that it worked exactly like they thought it would. Like they sack their treasure and it triggers, and I was like, I had to be the bad guy. To be like, well, actually, it says permanent card. A token does not count as a permanent card.
Yeah, but this token is a card.
Well, the
Uh,
rule says it isn't. So Yeah.
Yeah.
In the meantime, here Paul's got all sorts of bad decisions. He's just he can deploy 3 creatures here, so that at least one removal won't be instant death. Um, so he's gonna grab the last 2 cards from Adam's hand, which is not bad, but he's dead to flyers in 2 shots here.
Hmm. And Adam is going to show him his strong green rare to be exiled,
Yeah,
Sentinel of the Nameless City.
I mean he's
Really
he's gonna show
annoying.
him the other card in his hand too, so because he has
Yeah.
another snail. So emptying the hand is not bad, but it's not answering the flyers here. Oh, he only no
Mm.
he couldn't play the other snail. Okay, he only has 2 black sources here, so I almost
Yeah.
like.
So we had to make the
I mean,
choice.
he's still not technically dead, but he can petrify the 3/1 and then attack in for almost lethal. Put him down to 2 and leave him with next to no options here.
Yeah. Really rough.
Yeah, just the mulligans were a bit too punishing, and I mean Adam didn't. I mean Adam didn't do anything crazy this game. I mean the cycling into the Viper was a nice little thing, but I mean aside from that, he just kind of played okay creatures and took advantage of the mulligans on the other side.
Yeah.
So everything's coming in. He has to block the 4/2, otherwise he dies. And I don't think I saw a board wipe in his deck there. So looks like there's not too many ways to get out of this. He says, "Let me swamp cycle, thin my deck slightly." And
Take all the action
a 5/4
possible.
off the top, unfortunately, isn't going to do it. So, but I still had this. Get rid of that
Hmm.
last card in your
See the
hand.
last card.
Go away. Yeah. One for the road. Yeah. So we see Adam S. I mean, he took 3 victories in a row at the beginning of the last league in the feature matches. So it took until the 4th week of feature matches that somebody was able to beat him on a Monday night. So
Well,
he's starting
looks
off
like
again on
he
a
can.
nice little streak here, or hopefully beginning of a streak for him.
Hmm.
So
Got to
that's going to
continue
be
that tradition.
2-time league winner Adam takes the win here, and we'll be back in a little bit for our second match of the evening.